your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Debi Goenka from the Conservation Action Trust, a not-for-profit based in Mumbai, India.
And you're taking action against an Indian company, Adani, that wants to mine coal in the Galilee Basin in Queensland.
That's right.
Can you please describe what's the basis of your action?
The Indian company that we're talking about is something called the Adani Group of Companies. We have been having problems with the environmental track record back in India. And I thought it would be useful for the Australian groups and the Australian government and the Australian courts to be made aware about the problems that these companies have created in India. The second reason, of course, is that 60 million tons of coal that is going to be mined every year from these mines is mainly going to be exported to India. And we are very concerned about the impact of burning this large quantity of coal will have on the health and the environment in India as well.
Why would an Australian court care about the impact of burning the coal in India?
I think that's a good question to which I don't have an answer. We are actually treating in uncharted waters. I believe nobody has ever done this before. So your guess is as good as mine on how the courts will react and what is likely to happen.
Is it possible that the court in Queensland, the Land Court, will just throw the case out?
It's quite possible. Anything is possible. But I think our lawyers feel we have an arguable case and a point to make. And I do hope that the court will be receptive to our submissions.
What if Adani's power stations in India don't burn Australian coal, they'll just burn Indian coal, won't they, or coal from some other country?
Well, I think the problem is that there's not enough Indian coal to go around. We have a lot of coal reserve, but getting them out of the ground is quite tricky. And as far as Indonesian coal is concerned, they've already burned their fingers. When the Indonesian government raised coal prices, the Adani project at Mundra became non-viable financially. They were making a loss for every unit of electricity that they generated at those prices.
In India this week, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced reforms to the coal industry, allowing private ownership of coal leases in India and also deregulation. Can you talk about the implications of those reforms for Adani or for the Carmichael project?
Well, the government of India had a policy of privatization of coal mines for, I think, about 15 years. The problem has been that the previous governments have allocated coal mines to private companies for reasons that are not solely dependent on merit. And all these coal allocations, or almost all, I think about 95% of all the mines allocation was struck down as illegal by the Supreme Court of India recently. And I believe what the new government has announced is that they will be re-auctioning these mines on the basis of e-tendering to any company that might be interested in bidding for them. So it's actually the same old set of mines that were handed out earlier are going to be re-handed out to maybe new bidders.
Can you, is there any doubt in your mind that India needs Australian coal?
I think India doesn't need any coal. I think we are at a stage in life where renewable energy costs are comparable with costs from conventional fossil-fired fuel station. And I think the time has come when we can say that we've had enough coal and we need to switch to cleaner, better options which are environmentally friendly, which are decentralized. People can set up their own generating capacities and use as much power as they actually produce.
Your own submission makes the point that the people you represent through your Conservation Action Trust are poor and don't have access to electricity at all.
That's right. About 300 million people in India currently don't have access to electricity. They live below the poverty line, which is they make about 50 cents a day, and they don't have proper houses. They don't have the money to buy appliances. They don't have the capacity to pay for electricity, even assuming it was supplied to their doorstep. and their survival, of course, is dependent on biomass. And the problem is that with every new coal mine and with every new power plant that comes up in India, the resource base on which these poor people are dependent on gets further depleted. To give you an example, the fishing community at Mundra, where Adani's has their flagship project in Gujarat, have lost about 80% of their income thanks to the pollution from the power plants of Adani and Tata Power at Mundra, wiping out the marine biodiversity and the fish on which they depend.
Can I ask, Debbie, who's funding the action that you're taking?
Well, interesting question. We are actually not paying the lawyers anything. We were actually contacted by an Australian lawyer working in the US with an environmental group there, and she offered to help draft these objections, and we accepted her offer gratefully. When it came to actually filing the case in the land court in Queensland, she was able to get in touch with a law firm in Australia who is actually not charging us anything for their work in Australia. So as far as I'm concerned, it's completely free. In India too, we actually have a team of about 25 to 30 lawyers who work for us pro bono in our environmental cases, either in the High Court, in the Supreme Court, and before the National Green Tribunals.
Okay. Thank you. How do you rate your chances with this action now against the Carmichael project?
As I said earlier, we are actually in uncharted waters. We actually don't know what is going to happen. But as an environmentalist who's been lobbying against big projects for more than 30 years, we try everything. We talk to the public, we talk to the media, we do signature campaigns, we try and talk to decision makers, bureaucrats in government and so on. And if all that fails, we go to court. And we never actually know which is the last straw on the camel's back that actually goes in our favor. So very, very difficult to say what is going to happen now. But I'm hoping for the best.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.